Fuck yeah, we're back. World Cup's back. I'm excited. I got my America fuck yeah hat on. We've waited 8 long years for this. I've wait 8 long years for this. It's a Chicago Sports Bum Soccer Show. I am Baloney. I am joined as always by the Southside Bum Johnny and Chris King, Billy, Gene, Chris King. I don't know how many names we have for you, but it's Billy.
Yeah.
How was your day, Billy? I know you just got back from a run.
Yeah, I got back from the run club Venados, Southside original. They've been around since 81, on the run since 81. But, threw clothing on 8 real quick. Grabbed a claw.
There we go. Claw. I said I wasn't going to drink until the watch party. So I was going to give myself a clean 2 weeks detox. I lied. I'm back.
Whiskey's not bad at all. Well, what whiskey are you drinking?
I'm trying to finish this bottle of Stellum. It's a Kenwood pick by the makers of Barrel Bourbon. So I'm just trying to get through bottles. Yeah, I weighed in. So you guys know I'm in the 108 weight loss challenge. I weighed in a little lighter than I was expecting. So I'm like, all right, let me treat myself to a couple of bourbons tonight while we record the podcast.
My grandma used to give us that as medicine. She'd dip a binky in it. And if you got like a tooth issue like a baby, fix it. Look how I turned out. I'm doing great.
It cures all. According to our good friend, My Sock Summer, bourbon cures diabetes as well. So I'm not a doctor, but look that up. It might be possible.
Yeah.
All right. So we're ready to break down this World Cup. I know I'm excited as all hell. I haven't stopped thinking about soccer. I can't stop thinking about soccer for the better part of a month now. And it's finally here. Sunday, the first game. Before we break down the World Cup, we got a couple headlines. First of all, Billy, you wanted to talk about the United States women's national team, which they're going through some unprecedented hardships as well. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to take a second. I think, I always hype up the U.S. men's team. They're shit compared to the women's team. The women's team is essentially like the Germany, the France, and it's been this way since the early 90s when, Women's World Cup, the official Women's World Cup started. Don't want to forget the one in Mexico in the 70s. Right. And the Olympics, it became a big deal. And you have this team, and we almost had our 4th loss in a row. In 30 years of team history, there has never been 4 losses in a row, which is ridiculous to think about. It happens to every major men's team. And it's good because it means the other countries are stepping up their women's games, which is very exciting because you don't want to watch an uncompetitive match. But the fact that we are the best team in the world and we can't hire the best coach in the world or someone who can coach right, it feels like after losing to England, then Spain, and then Germany, and then we finally beat Germany. We lucked out. We won 2-1. You can't play like you're a travel soccer coach. You can't put your best 11 players forward and hope that they gel. You need to have players that gel. And there's just it's a learning curve. And I think we're going to see it. And I think when Vlatko took over in 2000, or it might have been, or 2020, or it might have been 2019, he took over a very old team. And it's getting youth players to start playing with each other because our front line, it could easily be Sophia Smith, who tore up the NWSL all season. I think she got Rookie of the Year last year. She had 17 goals. You've got Mel Pugh, Chicago, Red Stars player. She's been very dominant. And Alex Morgan. And I thought Alex Morgan looked washed out. She looks like an older player. And it's just time that we advance the team and start letting 20-year-olds to 25-year-olds take over. Because we don't want to be looking like this Belgian team for the men's where the players are too old to compete. And it just happens. But that's all I got to say about the women's game.
I think you're right, though. I mean, the main part of it, especially watching it since the 90s, soccer around the world for the women is vastly improved the last like 6-7 years, and especially the last like 4 years. You see it in the leagues in Europe. You see it even in Mexico now with Liga Femenil. There is vast improvements, and there's money being put into women's soccer, which kind of levels the playing field, like we've talked about. The way I remember it, or the way I think about it a lot, is this women's national team was very much like the dream team in basketball for the men's. They were so dominant for so long, they really didn't have any competition. And then all of a sudden, the teams from Europe are like, "Whoa, we're playing now," and it kind of woke the United States up to being like, "Okay, we can't just take these games for granted." So yeah, it's interesting. They're in an interesting spot. I still think they're like, when they put the pedal to the metal, they're the best team in the world, but the parity is getting very, very close. So it's definitely interesting. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because we've had 6 of these. We haven't really talked the women's national team. I know we've been ramping up for the men, but like you said, the women's are the ones that, make the money. The men suck.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm still very excited. The first headline I had for you guys, Ronaldo hates Manchester United. That interview came out with Piers Morgan of him going just scorched earth. I have a little clip for you, and I will say, it's kind of grainy. I don't know what happened in the upload process between my phone and then the computer. It's grainy, but you can hear it all. So here's Ronaldo just talking shit.
They're trying to force you out.
Yes, not only the coach, but the other 2 or 3 guys there around the club.
At the senior executive level.
Yes, that I felt betrayed.
And you think they're trying to get rid of you?
Honestly, I shouldn't say that, I don't know, but listen, I don't care. I'm always, people should listen the truth. Yes, I feel betrayed, and I felt that some people that don't want me here, not only this year, but last year too.
Yeah, he don't like anyone. It's interesting that this came out right before the World Cup. And it's interesting, I think he just forgot that Bruno Fernandes is on his team in Portugal. I don't know if you guys saw that video of them shaking hands in the locker room. He didn't want any part of Ronaldo right now. So he kind of put himself in an interesting situation. I'm excited to talk Portugal later in the group, or I mean later in the podcast. But yeah, I just seems like he's forcing his way out, and it's not gonna end. It's not gonna end well for them.
I'm actually more worried about Ronaldo. So there were rumors he went to Bayern this last week, and Bayern fan base does not want him. And German soccer works very different than the rest of Europe because we own our teams. We have the 50+1 rule, and that could be a whole podcast to even explain that. But
what do you mean by we, Billy?
I own stock in FC Cologne. Anytime an issue happens, I vote. It's not like the Packers where it's like they just like anytime they need money, they say we're going to sell more stocks. It's like in German soccer, the fans get to vote through their representatives, and their vote counts for 51%, which is what makes it different from like Green Bay Packers, where it's like you can like buy your stocks. There's a rule in German soccer.
It's not a pretend piece of paper like in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, and also fuck Green Bay, but like
right.
Yeah, so it's different, and they don't want him. I think the first time he got 90 minutes all season was with Piers Morgan. I
yeah.
think he needs to like understand that he's a 39-year-old man or 38-year-old man, and that like you just sort of age out, and like at a point you're not going to be playing 90 minutes every game. Like you're not wanted, and we've watched him miss sitters with Man U and even Juventus for the past 3 or 4 years. It is a different Ronaldo. You look at Ronaldo 10 years ago, creating goals by himself, like the GOAT fight with Messi, like every year. There's a lot of drama there, but I think a lot of it is just like him accepting that he needs a coming of age film.
Yeah, so I was listening to the CHGO soccer podcast, and they made a great point saying like in previous struggles, Ronaldo just works harder, gets back in the weight room, gets back in the gym, and just outworks everyone. At 38 years old, he can't do that anymore. He doesn't have that extra gear to where he just puts his head down and he's just going to be more talented than everyone else. He's still, don't get me wrong, he's still world class. But yeah, I think reality is kind of biting him now. And we see this with a lot of athletes, not just soccer, but, in NFL football, in basketball. It's like these guys hang on just a little too long, and then the world comes crashing down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after the World Cup. I really do think eventually, and I don't know if it's this season or next, but we hear about Miami and David Beckham talking to Messi and stuff like that. It wouldn't shock me to see Messi and Ronaldo in the MLS sooner rather than later. The next, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say is that I think it's that time. I think he knows it's that time as well too. I mean, it's like how you said it's the aging process. It's bound to happen. It was about that time, and obviously Manchester United's like, they're not even in the top 4 in the EPL right now, right? I mean, they're what, like 6th place or something like that. I mean, like
I think they're 5th right now, but they're going through it. Yeah, I mean they're. I don't know.
Well, Chelsea's even worse than Manchester United right now too. So I mean, I think it's time. I mean, I think him coming to the MLS would be open arms, especially for a MLS that desperately, I wouldn't say desperately needs it, but Ronaldo would bring that like Beckham-esque type of like stardom. If and when Messi does come to MLS as well too, because I know it's inevitable that's going to happen. So it's his time. I mean, he's fed up. I mean, for both sides, I think it's just like a win-win if they just go in and just do what they have to do and just get him moving, because it's just not going to end well. Obviously, how you mentioned with Bruno Fernandes and the non-handshake and whatnot, and that's going to be a whole different story as well too. But I think it's time.
Yeah. Speaking of MLS, and I could have probably waited to the group stage talk to talk about this, but it was such a funny headline that I just wanted to add it in here. Gareth Bale has been officially banned from golfing during World Cup camp. And you hear these stories. Obviously, he came to the MLS. He spent more time at Riviera Country Club than he did on the MLS pitch. He still scored that goal in the final, that valuable goal. But it was just funny that they had to like publicly announce this. I know he's been, obsessed with golf for the better part of 5 years now. So the fact that they just had to put a ban on him, it was like, oh man, how embarrassing is that for Wales?
Yeah. Well, I've seen the same stuff happen to you.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Problem is, I'm not playing in the World Cup.
That's true.
All right. And then finally, it's just a quick one. Not real quick. Qatar. I'm going to keep saying Qatar. I know it's Qatar. I've heard it both ways.
It's both. You can pronounce it either way.
Yeah.
So
like Qatar, Qatar. Either way, it's a fucking shit show. The name's a shit show. The actual event is a shit show. I've got a couple videos here for you guys. Everything from like the media access to the accommodations to beers vendors and stuff like that. It seems like they just can't get their shit together. And what a surprise. Everybody's been talking about this for the better part of 8 years. And now that it's here, people are shocked that it's not going as planned. So the first image I have for you guys are about these shipping containers and the accommodations that people are paying. It's basically you're paying $200 a night to stay in a shipping container that's in the daytime hotter than 90 degrees. What is that? You're in an oven. It's brutal. And then Billy, you sent me this picture. That was hilarious. This Greek salad at the World Cup fan zone. $10 for this Greek salad. I don't know. It's Julie makes a good point. When was Peter banned from golf? I was never banned. I just got obsessed with it for a little while. Yeah, this Greek salad, all of $10. Would you pay that?
I probably, I would do the whole thing with the whole George Costanza thing when he went to India and that one episode of Seinfeld. Don't go to the bathroom. Don't eat anything over there while you're there the whole trip. Yeah, all this stuff is definitely ridiculous. But who would have thought this was going to go this way, right?
I mean everyone knew it.
FIFA.
The next one was from Budweiser. Budweiser paid big money to have the presenting sponsorship of the World Cup. and they're having issues as
Just
well.
8 days before the World Cup was set to begin, the beer sponsor Budweiser, who paid $75 million for that title, is finding out that a lot of their alcohol setups, they need to be hidden. So they were going to have tents outside that were pouring beer outside the 8 different stadiums where games are going to be played, and it's all got to go. They're finding this out at the last minute. Apparently alcohol has been a big point of contention with the culture of Qatar ever since the games were announced that they were going to be held there. And if you're not familiar, it's not that alcohol is completely banned from the country, but it's a very conservative approach. You're only going to find it at places like hotels.
I mean, here's the one thing that pisses me off. If you guys know soccer, you know that soccer and beer go together like spaghetti and meatballs, like lamb and tuna fish. If you watch Big Daddy, that's a Big Daddy reference for you guys. The fact that I get it, it's their culture and they're more conservative and stuff like that. But you can't expect these guys, people flying in from, Germany and Poland and Mexico, and you can't find beer. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's it's terrible. I guess I don't get it. So
well, you'll get arrested if you get drunk in Qatar, and that's
they'll put you in holding cells. I had a video, I didn't upload it. There's these like pens that people are like, if you drink too much, you're gonna be put in these holding cells. Also, beers are upwards of $20 each, and you can only find them in select places like hotels and inside the stadiums, but like hidden away and stuff like that.
So let me get this. Hold on. Yeah. So let me get this straight. You're going to ask, first of all, English fans who are pretty much going to be dominant over there to not get drunk. How are they going to hold all these people in cells? They're not going to have enough space. Like this, man. This is bad. This is all bad. We already know this, but just hearing some of this stuff is just, man.
Not only that, but like. You expect them, you're trying to get them not to drink. There's also laws prohibiting you from like showing affection for anyone that's not married. So even if you're with your girlfriend and you're making out, or you can't make out, no making out at the World Cup. And we're not even going to get into like the actual human atrocities and like their LGBTQ rights and stuff like that, because that is bullshit. It's all a fire fest. My final video I have is this one that went viral this morning, and it was a Danish reporter basically just doing his news segment, and Qatari police came up and started giving him the business.
Land, der jo altså bliver udsat for en hel del kritik. Hvordan oplever du forholdene lige nu?
Jamen, vi kan jo vise, hvordan forholdene er lige her, hvis vi drejer kameraet. We are live on Danish television, og der kan I se, nu bliver vi stoppet med at filme, og det er forholdene her. Mister, you invited the whole world you invited the whole world to come here. Why can't we film? It's a public place. This is the accreditation. Okay. We can film anywhere we want. Okay. There are only, of course,
but only for the Qatar.
Qatar, you have
because
rule.
The Qatar is
No, we don't need permit. But you can break the camera. You want to break the camera? Okay, you break the camera. Okay.
Bring the camera.
Yes. So you're threatening us by smashing the camera.
What a shock that the country that has a history of treating people wrongly are treating people wrongly. Color me shocked.
It's just a shit show. This is not a country that was prepared to hold the World Cup. It's a fucking money grab. $10 is what I'm paying, and I could have paid $5 for Peacock if I wanted commercials. $10 to just like watch like it in Spanish, and the best $10 I've ever spent. Like, I've never seen a sporting event I haven't ever wanted to go to less than this event. And like, I've been waiting for this for years. Like, I'm excited it'll come here. I can go to Canada. I can go do whatever I want. I know that reporters aren't going to get jumped. Like, there is no like weird government oversight that doesn't need to be happening. And exactly, like, what a fucking joke. Joke ass government. Like, they shouldn't it's just bad.
We knew the Qataris were corrupt. We knew FIFA was corrupt. We knew all this. Johnny, you talked about the documentary that's on Netflix right now. It should come as no surprise. But the fact that it's just like we're getting bombarded with on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram with all these videos of just what a shit show it is. I want to say it's funny, but it's really not, man. It really is sad. All these people spending their hard-earned money to go there, and the way they're being treated is brutal. So yeah, man, obviously we don't want to we're not condoning any of this. Like, some of the videos are pretty funny, but it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, before we get down to the group stage previews and stuff like that, we do want to mention next Friday, game 2 for the United States men's national team. It's our United States men's national team watch party against England. It'll be at Jack's Place, 7000 West Southwest Highway in Chicago Ridge. We just announced that there's going to be a raffle for 25 people for the World Cup final, and it'll include a taquiza for 25 of your closest friends to watch the game at Jack's Place, and all the tacos you can eat. That's going to be exciting. We got some cool giveaways including like some World Cup trophy mugs. I had them on the Bumcast. I don't have them here now. I keep pouring beers into them and then dumping them out, so I figured I probably should stop doing that. But it'll be fun. Food, drinks. Jason will be bartending behind the bar. He'll get you pretty lit. So everybody take a Uber, taxi, designated driver. But it's going to be a hell of a time. I know I can't wait for this. It's going to be exciting, and we're all going to be there, right, Billy?
Oh, yeah. Be there. We'll drink too much. We'll stream at a TV a bunch. We'll watch England go down 3-1. It's not coming home.
I will say this: if the United States wins this game, and I'm hoping for a draw, or I'm expecting a draw, hoping for a win. If they win, I'm getting shit faced. I'm going to be celebrating like it's my personal World Cup. Because I hate England.
Fuck the English.
Thank you.
No.
And just another thing too, Jed, I just want to remind everybody, if you don't follow soccer or you don't have no idea what's going on, it's still fun to watch. Trust me. World Cup is a whole different environment. It's a whole different game. It's the first time I started really truly watching soccer was the World Cup in 2012, or sorry, 2012, 02. And that really got me into it. And I seen all these stars, and it was a whole different game. Trust me, you'll have a good time. You're going to be surrounded by good people as well too, and you're supporting the United States as well too. It's a trifecta of happiness over here. So, and I'll announce it in a little bit, but I do have a winner in that particular game. So,
okay, I'm excited. All right, so let's just get down to it. We've waited long enough. Here are your groups for the World Cup. We're going to break them down kind of group by group, and then I have all 3 of our predictions, all of our knockout rounds in the next graphic. So let's just go group by group and see who we have. Qatar, Ecuador, Netherlands. That's Group A. Senegal is missing Sadio Mane. He should be missing the first 2 games. I think that's a huge loss for them. I thought maybe Senegal could squeak out in that second place, but if Sadio Mane's not playing, I have the Netherlands and Ecuador going through, just because the Netherlands, I'm not impressed by them, but this group is the softest of the 8 groups.
Yeah, I think Netherlands followed by Ecuador will get out of it. Ecuador had a bunch of drama regarding a León player, specifically Byron Castillo. I still think they can get out of it. Like, the Senegal doesn't have Sadio Mane. They had major issues in the African Cup, that. I think it would have been 2021. I just I don't think they got out of it. In Qatar, I have all of their players are passport players. They basically just being you want a Qatar passport, come play for our team. So
I will say, I will have some bum bets for basically each day of the World Cup, and my lock of the week, lock of the year, is for both teams, Qatar and Ecuador, to score in that first game. It's always something fishy when you got the home game and the first team. They're going to give them a penalty.
Well,
they're
paying for fans, so
exactly.
I don't know why they wouldn't.
So both teams to score in that first game is like plus 125. I would hammer that like all day because I expect there to be goals from Ecuador, and then Qatar is going to get, some bullshit, either penalty or non-offsides call, something like that. Before we get to Group B, I just want to mention Senior Sox. I knew I loved them. For a reason. Arriba las Chivas, always and forever. I will not stop saying that. Until the day I die. Billy, I might mute you. Watch your words.
I'm just saying, Liga MX did change the rules right around the time that Chivas was at the bottom of the table and, relegation was coming. I'm about to get muted, but,
we'll save that for another podcast.
The Liga MX podcast,
the Liga MX podcast. We'll talk about that soon. I'm sure my dad will be first to listen to that one.
Will we get Dom Pedro on the Bumcast?
Yeah, it'll be the first and only time he listens to a podcast. Group B. It's our group. It's England, Iran, United States, Wales. We've talked about this on several podcasts before. I don't want to say it, but I do think England is the class of this group. Their talent is like top to bottom. It's crazy. Their defense is kind of suspect, I will say. John Stones, Harry Maguire, they could be exploited. I'm a Man U fan. I've seen Harry Maguire up and close and personal. He could get exploited. But, Jude Bellingham, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Kane, Marcus Rashford, Sterling. It's just like especially for this group, it's just like gluttony of talent. So for me personally, we've talked about it. I think this United States-Wales game, the first game of the group for them, it's almost do or die. Obviously, a tie doesn't kill them. But if you win this first game against Wales, you put yourself in the driver's seat. And I know people expect Iran to make some noise and kind of upset somebody in this group. But they're going through it right now. Politically and just personally, like with the team, and like the team didn't get announced until like 2 days ago, basically.
I don't think it's been announced yet.
Yeah, so I saw this morning that like it was like leaked, but it wasn't for sure. It's been kind of weird. So realistically, they're going through it. So I hope their head is in a different spot, and the United States could exploit that. Do you guys have anyone else besides the United States and England going through?
I have them both going through, but I have the U.S. on top. I legitimately think that England is going to shit the bed. They're known for it. They're also a fairly young team. This is going to be a team that we're going to have to compete with in 2026. Like a lot of the teams that are like leading the way right now, like people are like behind like Brazil or Argentina. These are older teams. England is a team we're going to have to play. And I don't think that they're prepared for this. And I think they have too much pressure coming in a very easy group. This should be a very, very easy group for them with the amount of talent they have.
Right.
But I feel like it's going to be like Jack Grealish going to City, where it's like very overhyped. I just don't think they can do it. And I think if someone's going to upset, it could be Iran. Like, I think they could just like stumble ass backwards into it. I think
lightning in a bottle
is just bad. But I legitimately think if the U.S. can get a tie, at least we take group.
That would be awesome. Realistically, that would be awesome. I don't expect it. I got them going out in second place, but I do have them beating Netherlands in the first round of the knockout stages. I'll talk about Wales real quick. We talked about Gareth Bale and how they are a one-man team. That's not necessarily true. Ben Davies and Aaron Ramsey are still pretty good. Joe Allen. They have a lot of they don't have a lot of stars. They just have a lot of like Premier League role players. And I don't know how far that gets them, but they do have guys. They have guys that play in a top-notch professional league, and most of them do. So they're not going to be an easy out by any means. I just do think that the United States, talent-wise and potentially talent-wise, is better. Athletically too. I feel like that's where something where the United States, especially in that first game, can just outrun them. Like run them to the ground. So Johnny, you got United States and England too?
I mean, you guys pretty much took everything I was about to say, but I'll say what I'm about to say. No, you're good. I think the United States is going to win this group, and it's the same thing that Billy said.
all right.
We're talking about England as well too. You got all these nice little players that they have, all these top notch players and whatnot, but this is England we're talking about here, and they're just probably going to think like, oh, this is just the United States. I kind of felt like they did the exact same thing the last time they met in the World Cup, and guess what happened? It was a 1-1 tie. So I just feel that at this point we have better players, younger. Talent wise, I think we got better players on this squad than we did on that squad that won 1-1 against England. I'm not afraid of Wales. It's just how you mentioned, Peter. They got a lot of like bottom of the barrel Nottingham Forest type of players and whatnot. I mean, it to me, they don't scare me at all. You got Bale, but Bale's on that point where, you know, he can't even play golf. He's probably worried about that shit, and he's not even worried about this damn World Cup. You know, in general, he just made the team. So I'm not afraid of Gareth Bale as well too, or I'm not afraid of Iran. I feel like there's definitely going to be a shock that the United States will go on. I'm not saying, you know, that I think England has a shitty team, because they do have a very talented team. They definitely are one of part of those favorites as well too to win the World Cup. But this is England once again we're talking about. I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos on England and the amounts of sorrow they've gone through over World Cup after World Cup after World Cup, from David Beckham kicking that a guy from Argentina, to Wayne Rooney stopping on somebody's balls. Like, I mean, just there's always something that happens with England. And I feel in this United
themselves
States
in the foot for sure.
Yes, they do this all the time. And what I feel is that the United States is going to sneak in here. I'm not going to say it's going to be like, you know, it's going to be easy, but what I'm going to say is it's going to be a sneaky win where I think the United States will go on top of that Group B.
Julie has a great question. And Wrexham players in the World Cup. I don't think Wrexham players would make it out of Douglas Park. So I was about to say, I don't think they would make it out of Douglas Park in Clase or the Hispano League. But it is a good documentary. If you guys haven't watched it, it's on FX. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, even get what Johnny said. I want one last final thing on England. They did what U.S. fans do when the women's team like make a big deal. They just won the Euros, the English women's team, against Germany, a game they should have lost. I think they won like 2-1 or 1-0, something very close. But that was a big deal there. And as Johnny and I both said, English shit in the bed. Like,
they have a history of it. I mean, it is. They have a history of it. And nothing shocks me out of this group. Damien had the comment, none of these teams are in good form. This last World Cup cycle before the World Cup, I think the only team that won was Iran out of all 4 teams playing their friendlies. So none of them are coming in hot. Everyone's got their flaws. Everyone's got their warts. It's just a matter of who can catch lightning in a bottle for 3 games. And I do think the United States can. All right, Group C, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. I was talking to Damien in the comments earlier this week, and just like the United States and Wales, I think that Mexico-Poland game is going to go a long way in deciding who wins the second place in this group. Obviously, Argentina's class of the group. They got Messi. They got a gluttony of players. They got everyone in top form. They're playing really well. They're, top 2 favorites in the World Cup. So it's just a matter of who can get out of this group in second place. And I do think Mexico, even with Tata Martino, trying his damnedest to fuck it up, they just have a history of finding a way to come in second place and getting out of the group. It's just, since the day I was born, it's just Mexico finds a way to grind out results at the World Cup. So I know their roster is depleted, and I was kind of shocked they didn't bring in people like Lainez. I think he's a world-class player, and the fact that he was just out, and obviously Tecatito Corona is a big injury. He's out. But all in all, and I'm saying nice things about Mexico, which is shocking for me personally, because you guys know my rivalry with the United States. It's something but I do think they find a way to win. Poland doesn't scare me at all. The fact that they got a Chicago Fire player or an ex-Chicago Fire player in their rosters tells you everything you need to know about those bums. So yeah, I got Argentina first and then Mexico second.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I mean, Poland is kind of like equivalent to what Wales is. You got one good player, and that's it. I mean, nothing against Poland. Like I said, I just don't think that they have that team to move on. You know, I got a lot of Polish friends as well too, so I'm not trying to upset anybody. But you know, like I said, I just don't think that Poland has enough to go on to the next round. It's like how you said, Peter, Mexico just always finds a way to get in there. And Saudi Arabia, man, poor Saudi Arabia. You know, I mean, I think everybody in everybody's brackets and all that, they're picking them at last place. Argentina, man, I mean, that's no surprise. I mean, when you have Messi still playing at, you know, at a high peak, I mean, you know, you're always going to win. So I just think Argentina and Mexico are going to go into the next round.
And I will say, I think Argentina as a whole are on a mission to get Messi his World Cup. We're going to talk about, you know, GOAT players of all time at the end of the podcast. It would go a long ass way for him to be able to lift up the trophy at the end of this World Cup. So I think they're playing with a purpose. They're all playing as a unit too. That's a big thing too. A lot of these teams have their warts with drama, infighting, and just divas being divas. It's just the history of soccer. That's how it is. I think Argentina is all pulling in one direction. So that's what makes them super dangerous for the knockout stages.
For me, Argentina walks out with 9 points. I love that hosting a watch party at Caminos the day after the U.S. men's national team watch party, if anyone wants to come, as a heads up. But they're going to walk out with all the points. Poland, I watched Poland and Mexico play earlier today, unless my coworkers are watching, and then I didn't watch them play. But Poland had issues against Chile with Milic and Lewandowski. And Milic right now with Napoli, like obviously like dominating Champions League, and like Lewandowski like not doing well with Barcelona. They just looked like garbage. Like they won, but they beat like a very weak Chile team that like there was like they should not have. Winning 2-1 that game was like frightening. Mexico versus Sweden. Mexico lost, but I think they still looked like a better team. Like there was a lot of like they hit the bar a lot, and like with Tata Martino running a U40 team with Mexico this year, like I think it's like they're gonna run into some issues with older players, but I think they come out with it's Argentina and Mexico.
Right? I will say I did have it written down. I mean, obviously the eternal Guillermo Ochoa. I mean, he's gonna be there forever.
He's like Neuer. Like you don't need to replace him. He's a goalie.
Hector Herrera and then Andres Guardado, the fact that they're running them out there as starters is shocking. I don't know if these guys can play World Cup minutes, like 50 World Cup minutes, 60 World Cup minutes. The fact that they're starters is shocking, and that's the part of what's in like Tata Martino is doing everything in his power to kind of let this slip away. But I still think they find a way.
Losing Tecatito was a big deal.
He's so good, man. I like Tecatito Corona a lot.
Vega, a Chivas player, I'll give him that. Like, thought he would have shit the bed, but.
And before we move on, I should mention Santiago Jimenez, Santi, not being on this roster is very similar to us crying about, you know, I mean, probably better. I mean, he's probably in better form than P-Folk and Ricardo Pepi and stuff like that.
He's in better form than Funes Mori. I watched him this season. He looked fucking
So that's
great.
The thing, is the fact that they're trotting out Funes Mori out there is, I mean, it's crazy, man. I can't believe they left him out of the roster. But like I said, I still think they find a way. Group D.
In December, Piojo will be in charge. Problem will be fixed.
Do you think Piojo gets another shot at it?
100%. He's the only guy open that'll do the job. I think do the job well. But
I mean, I'm in it just for the gifts. I need all the Super Saiyan gifts and all the Piojo Herrera gifts I could get. So that'd be cool.
A crazy mofo.
He is a crazy mofo. Group D. This is another one of these groups that I feel like it's like a one-team group. France, with all of their problems and all of their injuries, Paul Pogba's out, N'Golo Kante's out. They just keep dropping players left and right. But they still got Mbappe. They still got Benzema. I still think they're the class of this group by far. And no one else is kind of a threat. Denmark and Australia and Tunisia, none of these teams kind of like stand out. I did research on all three. I don't necessarily watch a lot of Denmark and Tunisia, but I read as much as I could on them. And yeah, it's like any one of these three can kind of shock the world and come out in second place, but it's France's group to win.
Yeah. I had France and Denmark. I don't like Australia and Tunisia. They have no standout players. Elise Shaqiri, he's a Colton player. I watch him play a lot, and he's been bad for us, but he starts for Tunisia. Like it's like Elliot Collier from the Chicago Fire starting for like New Zealand.
I had that written down. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments and I saw Damien, the curse of the defending champ, and it's happened twice. You know, we've seen it with Germany, we've seen it with Spain, we've seen it a bunch in recent memory. I just think they're just way too talented, and this group is so bad that there's no way that they do fall off. It was shocking when Spain did it, but I mean France is still really, really good. I don't have them going far in the knockout stages. But I just don't see how they just don't get out of this group. Maybe like they lose a couple, or I mean tie one and lose one, and they still come out in second place. I just don't see a way they don't squeak out, 4 to 6 points and come out in second place. I do remember this France-Senegal game. That was a good one.
That's like 20 years ago, though.
Well, I mean, it still happened. And I will say, overarching themes of this World Cup, and ever since I keep watching, I go by history goes a long way, obviously the big teams are the big teams, but like history repeats itself a lot during the World Cup. Group E is what I think the group of death is. I know there's like differing factors on which one is the group of death, but Spain, Germany, Japan, Costa Rica. I really, really wanted to put Japan and have them shock the world. I think they have some really good players, and I really think they can make some noise. But I was too chicken. I've got Spain winning the group and Germany coming in second. Germany's got some injuries. I know Spain is like they don't play the tiki-taka anymore. They're not the Spain of old, but they still have some crazy good players. Unai Simeone, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Carvajal, Pedri. The Morata. The list goes on and on. I have a bunch of them written down. I mean, I just keep reading them off. I think their talent is better than anyone else in this group. I do think Germany can be beat by Japan and their style. We saw Japan. Japan plays a really tactically a really good game. We saw them against the United States where they high pressed and the United States just couldn't figure it out. Obviously, you would think Germany knows how to figure out a high press and it wouldn't shock them. But they're going through some injuries as well, and they're older as well. Manny Neuer, again, another one that's just eternally in goal. He'll be there forever. But Mueller, there's a couple of these guys that are getting older in age, but they still have some really, really good young players. Goretzka, Kai Havertz, Leroy Sané, Gnabry. I got Spain winning the group. I got Germany in second. Do you guys see? And poor Costa Rica, they're just happy to be there. They're gonna get fucking trounced.
Yeah, I think Spain's gonna be the top dog on that one. It's like I mentioned, Germany. Man, they've had so many good players over the years, but you don't have those. I feel like you just don't have that that star power that you used to having. And yes, they are a lot more older, but I still think that they escape and they go on to the next round. I just can't see, Germany being second, but you never know. Like how you said, it could be surprising, but I just think Spain's going to be number one and Germany's going to be number two here.
Yeah. I actually took a different route. I thought Germany would be one, Japan would be two. I think that Spain sort of looks like trash whenever I watch them play. I don't think that there is I'd love to see a good Spain, but a lot of their players that are like exciting, like Pedri, Unai Simon, or like whoever, like I just like they they have aging to do. I think they have to get more developed.
They are young.
One thing that everyone
they're younger than before.
Yeah, I think that one thing that everyone doubts with Germany is the fact that they're all Bayern Munich players and they're all starters for Bayern Munich, and I think that gives them a big advantage. Like Mueller might be old. Mueller could go and play in the Premier League. Bayern could play in the Premier League with Mueller, Sané, Musiala, like all of them, and like dominate. And I think that gives Germany a big advantage.
I do think a lot of sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I do think you make a great point that a lot of these teams that have a lot of players playing together, especially in this World Cup where the run up was kind of weird, and you know there's been a lot of club play and not a lot of international play, and it's in the fall instead of the summer, and you didn't get a 45-day window. You got basically 10 days to bring everybody together. I think that goes a long way. So I do think that's a great point. But Spain does that as well because half of these guys are either from Barca or Real Madrid. You know, most of the time they're from either one of those two. So
I just watched Barca get like crushed. I think Japan can get points on Spain and knock them out.
I do think Japan could shock this group. I really do think so. I was just too much of a pussy to not. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I think Japan is Greece in 2004. I think they can make a legit run. There are no players I can name off for Japan, but they play a different style of soccer that this very heavy European League focused World Cup is not ready for because it's a different one too. Because
they are tactical and disciplined, and that goes a long way in tournament play. You know.
Yeah, it makes South Korea scary too. Like it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get to them. So Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. I've got Belgium winning the group, although Romelu Lukaku sounds like he's hurt. Eden Hazard, not fit and aging. There is an argument to be made that they could be beat as well. But they have my favorite midfielder in the world right now. And I think Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best soccer players in the world. He's so goddamn good. He's so much fun to watch. So I've got my money on Belgium winning the group, and I've got Canada coming in second. I really do think Canada, the way they play, is very much a, kind of a Japan style of they are all pulling together. They're all tactically smart. We saw them against United States, and we saw them against Mexico a bunch. They're hard to break down, and they're just fundamentally sound. And like I said, that goes a long way. I think Croatia is aging. They do have some stars, but I think they can be beat. And the only thing that worries me about Canada is the fact that games are it's fucking 95 degrees out. And I know the stadium is air conditioned and stuff like that, but all World Cup qualifying, these guys were playing in freaking 30-degree weather and 45-degree weather. It's a big difference. They're not playing in like hockey ponds anymore. So
home field
that
advantage
might be an issue. Yeah, home field advantage. So that might be an issue, but I do think, Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, they're good players. So I think Canada's going to win. They're going to come in second place.
See, for me, it was between Canada and Morocco. I think Croatia comes in last. Belgium, obviously, first. I gave Morocco the points because I thought they're going to do better in the heat. A lot of the Canadian players, as you said, they play in hockey ponds, but for real though, they're for the most part it's a very MLS heavy. Alphonso Davies plays in Bayern, which is not. It's like Chicago weather. Yeah. If we were playing a Chicago World Cup, it'd be great. He'd be fine. But I think that gives Morocco the advantage for all the heat and the dryness, and also being able to deal with the moisture that can come into the air if you get a weird wet spot because Qatar is so close to the coast. I think it's on the coast.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, I guess it depends where they play. There are some stadiums right on the coastline, and then there's some other kind of deeper in. It's gonna be weird, man. I don't know fucking weather in Qatar.
Yeah, Belgium's the only one making out. That's all I can say.
Belgium is a very good team. We'll talk about them in the knockout round. Same thing with the next group, Group G. It's Brazil's group to win. I think Brazil is the most talented team in this World Cup. It worries me, not that it worries me, but it's tough to bet on the favorite, all the time. And it's been 20 years since they've won the World Cup. I think everybody's expecting them to win, and I am expecting them to win. But the one thing that worries me is like they're so overwhelming favorites of them in Argentina that like something fucky can happen. You know, like Neymar breaks his back again or something bullshit like that, something crazy. But outside of, you know, something weird happening, I feel like Brazil is the class of this group and almost the class of this World Cup. So I got them winning, and I have Switzerland coming in second. And I will say, my argument for Switzerland coming in second is kind of bullshit. I want them to do as well as humanly possible. And I want our guy from the Fire to go crazy just so he can get interest from people in Europe again and get him out of our contract. I don't want Xherdan Shaqiri anywhere near the Fire. I want him to score goals. I want him to give assists. I want him to have the tournament of his lifetime just so I don't have to see him play soccer in Soldier Field anymore.
I mean, I'm here for it. I think Brazil and Switzerland, fuck Sheridan Shaqiri. I have his kit. It's over here. The only time you're ever going to see him run, if you've only ever watched him play for the Chicago Fire, will be now. He said he was injured in the 80th minute, and then 3 days later was going to go play with Switzerland. The Swiss team is actually like pretty solid. Like they're like a very solid European team. I think they could go places. We'll get into that with the brackets, but fuck that guy. Please go somewhere else. We got dropped on us from a very stumbling Lyon team. Even if it's somewhere else in the MLS, the fact that we paid $8 million for this goon, like
you're the second highest paid player in the league.
Behind Lorenzo Insigne, another flop.
All right, this is I leave it to us to find a way to complain about the Fire in the fucking World Cup preview show. All right, Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, South Korea. You said South Korea could shock the world. I do agree with you. They got some really good players. I think Uruguay is young. I mean, it's funny. Uruguay is kind of weird because like they do have really young, really talented players, but then their forwards are still Luis Suarez and Cavani, and I think that's how they're going to start with.
Yeah, they should.
They should. And I have them winning the group, shockingly. I have Uruguay in first. And I do have Portugal in second. We talked about Ronaldo at the start of the show, his headaches and what he is causing to Man United. I think that's translating a little bit to Portugal. I think Portugal is at their best when they don't have him. Really, realistically, it's crazy to say like.
So is Man United.
It's weird to say that because I've been a Ronaldo fan. And I will say I'm still a Ronaldo fan. But, yeah, he's just like he's a fucking cancer right now. So I really do think this Portugal team would play a lot more freer. It would be a lot more funner. It would be a lot less like weight off their shoulders if they didn't have this looming shadow, this like dark figure in the locker room. But I still think they're good enough to come in second. Do you guys have anything? Is there anything shocking out of there? Billy, we're going to talk about your knockout stages in a second because you did a chaos bracket.
Are weird, but I have Portugal, Uruguay. I think Messi doesn't play as many minutes in this World Cup as he thinks. That's all I got to say.
Damien had a comment about Serbia being the Croatia of 2018. I do see that. I think Serbia can be. It's funny. We didn't really talk about this previously, but in Group G, Brazil, Serbia, and Switzerland were all in the same group last World Cup too. And they all got history. Obviously, Serbia and Switzerland have big time history with like the Albanian players and stuff like that. Once again, Xherdan Shaqiri and his little thing. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. Like obviously Serbia, Switzerland, they hate each other. So that'll be a good game. But yeah, I do think, Serbia can be the Croatia of 2018. I just don't expect them to be. So yeah, who do you guys have in Group H?
Portugal and
yeah, I got the same as well too. But yeah, you can also, it could go either or, man. It could be Uruguay like first and Portugal in second. So, but I definitely got to get the edge with Portugal. Like obviously they are having their little tiffs in the locker room right now with with Prima Donna out there, but he still is Prima Donna like good still. So and just in the world stage, I just think that they definitely take first place on that group.
Right,
He's
so
in a
here,
weak enough group that he can get away with being a prima donna.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone gets bounced, it'll be
If he was in
Uruguay.
if he was in that group of death, I would say it'd probably be a huge problem. But he is in definitely a good group to act like this right now, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
All right, so here are Johnny and Chris's knockout brackets. Chris, you are on the right. Johnny, he's on the left. Let's go with Johnny first. Johnny, yours and I are very similar. Mine will be in the next slide. But you have Brazil winning it all.
Yeah, I just think that they have a lot of good players, man. I mean, they're just stacked right now, and I just think that they have a really good chance this time around. We just talked about it. I mean, they haven't won a World Cup in over 20 years. I think it's kind of due at this point. I don't think they have like any. Obviously, they're one of the main favorites, other than Argentina, but I just think that they're very well equipped. They got two of the best goalkeepers in the world as well too. So I mean they got everything all around. I just think that they'll be, I'm not gonna say dominant, but they're just definitely the team out there that I think that will win. Obviously I told you about my pick and that group with the England and the United States. Look at the favorable side of this. I mean, and we just talked about it. I mean, you could definitely beat Ecuador, and that between that Mexico and France, we were talking about the depletion a little bit of injuries that France has, but I think France will beat Mexico. But yeah, I still have France, going pretty far, man. I mean, you have Benzema, which was the Ballon d'Or, just this year, and then you have Mbappe. I mean, you got goal scorers. You still got a really good team. I just can't see them just because of certain injuries that they're still not going to go far. So Belgium's a very, I got them going pretty far as well too. They got a very favorable matchups as well too, if this aligns the way it does. But Belgium is not that Belgium team that I thought was going to win in the last World Cup when they were very stacked and very talented. But I just don't think that they make it that far. I think France would definitely beat Belgium and go on to the finals. It's a World Cup rematch from 1998.
Yeah, I will say, you mentioned Belgium and them being the team of the future for the last goddamn 12 years. I feel like that window has kind of sailed. I have seen people with the United States Mexico quarterfinal in their brackets. I don't see a way that that's possible. Just the way both teams are playing and both coaches are kind of boneheads, if you will. But that would be awesome. I mean, obviously we've seen it once before, but that would be amazing. Billy, what's going on here? I mean, who are you cracking?
Hold on, before we go into that one, because you did mention something about Argentina and how they have pretty much it seems like they're doing this for Messi. Like they're all in, on the same page type of here. And I want to bring to something that a different sport. When Coach K, just at this tournament, his last year of coaching and all that, I thought that Duke was going to win and win it all for him as well too. And obviously a North Carolina team, they won. They beat Duke. I thought they were going to go far. I feel kind of that's the same thing as Argentina as well too. Not saying that they can't go to the finals, not saying that they can't beat Brazil. It's anything's possible. In this World Cup, anything's possible. I just don't think that, as much as everybody wants to see Messi win it all, I just still think that it's gonna be that Dan Marino type of deal where he's just not gonna win that big title. And I'm sorry to say it, like I love Messi, and we'll get into this whole thing after this, but I just don't think that they're gonna win the World Cup.
I do think I have a very similar bracket than yours. We'll get it. I'll talk about it in a little bit. But now that we're looking at yours, I think everyone has, besides Billy, everyone has that Argentina, Brazil semifinal. That will be must watch. Like, I will not leave my couch before and after the game. That would be like, two heavyweight, Ali Frazier, Tyson Holyfield type shit. Like, where it's like, I would kill to see that matchup. And realistically, I think the winner of that semifinal is the favorite to win it all. But I hope it happens. I hope they don't get knocked. I hope they both win their group. I hope they both get this far, because I really do want to see a full Brazil squad against Messi and Argentina. Neymar, Messi, all of that stuff. We'll talk about that more, but I'm very, very excited about this. All right, now, Billy, who you crapping? Because
I'll run through my chaos bracket. So bottom left quadrant.
Don't get me wrong. I want it to happen, but
100%. Ride or die with the U.S. men's national team until we're knocked out. I don't give a fuck who it is. I think we can beat them. It's soccer. You can win on any day of the week as long as you play right. So for the bottom left, it was the only issues I had was I think Belgium, Switzerland, Portugal, Japan, any of them could come out. And it just I think Switzerland could do it. I think they could stumble ass backwards into this position. And any of them that would get out of that bottom left quadrant is stumbling ass backwards. None of them deserve to be at the semifinals. They're all garbage teams. I say that especially for Portugal. A lot of people love Portugal, but they're not good and they don't gel well. And we've seen it. They got the 1 Euro in 2016
when Ronaldo was hurt.
Yeah, without Ronaldo, you got to deal with Ronaldo. So you got the Ronaldo factor. I think Germany beating Brazil. Germany is very good against Brazil's attack. Germany's front lines and midfield, they've all been acknowledged to be a little bit older. The back line is a lot of younger players coming from other parts in the Bundesliga. I watch them week in, week out. They're very physical. And I think they can kick the shit out of Brazil players. I don't think Anthony, who's going to do circles, or Neymar he doesn't deal with that in Liga 1, or Liga One. I think Germany's backline gives them and Neuer and Guillermo Ochoa, both of them in the World Cup become walls. They become Iker and Buffon, at their peak, and they're unstoppable. I think Argentina is better than Germany. I think they have a better front line. I think they know how to play better than any of the other teams. I don't think England's going to win more than one game. I think they are lucky to make it into the octagonals. And bluntly, I just everyone's very excited for France, but players just keep dropping flies left and right. And Kunku, who everyone gets it very excited for, these Madrid players, blah blah blah. And Kunku has been tearing Bundesliga up. He's a fucking nightmare. The man he's gonna be sold for $120 million to Manchester United, Manchester City, one of the London teams, and he's gonna make Premier League a lot of fun. He's like Haaland. But he's hurt. France doesn't have forward playing players. Mbappe is great, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna get back to me at this round. Jedi Robinson puts him in his pocket. Mbappe isn't used to.
I'm gonna go to my slide, Billy. I don't know what Kool-Aid. I want your Kool-Aid. I mean, I want
sound like an insane person, but I'm excited in December when I get to rub it in all your faces. So
don't get me wrong, I love Jedi Robinson, but
he's drinking too much White Claw right now.
Yeah, that White Claw got to him. All right, so I've done this World Cup predictor probably 10 times. And every time I'm tweaking. I did one earlier today, and then I did another one. And the more I think about it, the more I do think, and my slide's not working. I got England going far. I didn't, when I first started this whole process, I didn't have England going far. I had them like you guys kind of getting knocked out, and I know their history, and I know, they shit the bed and their back line is kind of suspect, but they do have depth, and I think they have more depth than most teams right now. And I think that goes a long way once you get to the knockout rounds, once you get out of your group, I think depth goes a long way. So yeah, I have England and Germany going far. And no, I'm sorry, Belgium. Yeah, I'm sorry, Belgium going far because of that. I know Belgium's kind of banged up and stuff like that, and I shit on them talking about them like the team of the future forever. But I still think, especially like we all talked about on this like bottom left hand tier of the brackets, it's kind of weak. So yeah, the more I did it, the more I just kind of like fell or drank into the Kool-Aid of England being decent, and I think their midfield, especially, and their forwards are so good that I think they go far. But I do think they get trounced by anyone on the right side of the bracket. I mean, if England plays Argentina, they get trounced. If England plays Brazil, they get trounced. Even if England plays Spain or like anybody with any sort of discernible talent, they get beat. So like England gets far because of their situation and their schedule and stuff like that. But I do think Brazil is the class of this tournament, and I think they're going to win this tournament. The one thing I will mention, and we're going to talk about Golden Boot winners and stuff like that, the way this Brazil team is lined up, and with Neymar and everybody in the defense and in the midfield, Vinicius Jr. might score freaking 12 goals. Like, I feel like they're just going to be feeding him like a motherfucker. And he's so talented, and he's in a good run of form and stuff like that. So that's who I have as my Golden Boot winner. If Brazil goes far, I just don't see it any way where like Vinicius Jr. doesn't have, a ton of goals. So these are the World Cup odds. I kind of, Billy, you sent me that slide a little late. I didn't have it all like lined up and stuff like that. But yeah, Brazil and Argentina are the overwhelming favorites. You see USA is at the bottom half. If you do expect them to win, you might as well put some money on them because you're going to be
I don't sports gamble. You're going to have to teach me. I've never sports gambled in my life, but I will put all of mine and Christie's life savings on that. I'm just kidding. I won't do that.
And then these are the Golden Boot winners. So I had Vinicius Jr., and I do think I might probably hammer that for a little bit. Do you guys have anywhere else where you guys think like probably could do it? Because the more I think about it, like a lot of these players, like Benzema and Mbappe are kind of going to steal away from each other. And same goes with like, Memphis Depay and whoever plays for Netherlands, or even England with Harry Kane and Sterling and Foden and all these guys. Like, I just don't feel like there's like a runaway scorer like Vinicius. I mean, obviously Neymar's there, but I feel like Neymar, especially when he plays for Brazil, he's more of a facilitator. He obviously scores a shit ton of goals, but he's still a really good passer as well. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, with Neymar, you'd have better money betting on me to get the gold boot. Legitimately, he will. Messi, Vinicius Jr. I could also see Olivier Giroud. Everyone wants to get excited about Mbappe, Griezmann, whoever. Giroud is like very famous. He's like a Chicharito finisher. Like, it's like always, he just knows where to be. And
he's a poacher.
He's the dark horse. If I was gonna bet any money, it'd be on Lionel Messi. I think Lionel Messi scores like a stupid amount of goals. Dude is going to be in demon time. This is his last World Cup. He's performing well in PSG. And anytime he goes back to Argentina, he's the one who gets fed. So, I mean, obviously he's a safe bet. But like Giroud, like if you got spare money, throw a little bit of money at him,
Yeah, Peter, I'm with you with Vinicius Jr., man.
Yeah, he's so good.
I mean, he won the Champions League for Real Madrid. I mean, with that goal, he's doing a lot. He continues to improve. I mean, I feel like he's that guy. So I would probably place a bet on that as well too. Getting back to the whole betting on who's going to be the winner, Bleacher Report, I saw something on here that was very interesting. I saw a most bet on World Cup teams, and can you name the top three that it'll be very surprising. Who are the top three? It was a tie on the third one, but it's very surprising.
It was
Who do you
most
think is the
bet to
top three?
win, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the same thing you did. Billy sent
Okay.
it to me. It's
Okay. So
Argentina, Brazil, and then number 3 tied, right? Is
yeah, the USA
USA.
and
I
France.
think that has to do with
Yeah,
just
it's a bunch of Americans with a bunch of money who can just throw it around.
we
Like,
just like betting on shit.
No,
I
no, no,
know.
no. I'm believe me, I'm not going to put any money on the United States unless if it's like a yeah. But I still think that's very interesting as well too, because that's a lot of bets that are being put in, and yeah, obviously they're what 1,300 or plus 1,300 to win the World Cup. So I just thought it was interesting. They got to round it out. They got England, Spain, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, and the Netherlands. So I don't know.
I mean, it helps that sports betting is very common now. Like 4 years ago, 8 years ago, it was very different. I think soccer is growing, but
All right, so before we get out of here, Johnny, you had a question for the group, and I thought it was really interesting. We've never really talked about this in the 6 episodes we've done, and Damien's in the comments. I want Damien's answer on this too, because I really thought about it for a long time, and so hit us with the question.
Okay, so in your lifetime, and I'm not talking about like who you think in history, because you weren't around when Pele was around. So to me, I feel like you can't say like, oh, hey, I think that Pele, or I think like me and Peter, we were young. I don't even know, if you were even born when Maradona was playing as well too. So in your lifetime that you've seen the amount of soccer, who do you think is the best player you've seen all time? The GOAT. Your GOAT.
Immediately, the answer goes to either Messi and Ronaldo, right? Like it's one or the other. But I didn't go that way, because I do think I'm one of the guys, especially in football, soccer, and football, American football. You need the trophies to be able to say you're the best. You need the main title to be able to say you're the champion. In both Ronaldo's got the, like, I'm not counting Copa Americas, and I'm not counting Euros. I'm talking World Cup. So I got OG Ronaldo. I got the OG triangle haircut Ronaldo. I got the original mercurial shoes Ronaldo. I write it down. 2 World Cups in 94, because people forget he was the youngest player in the World Cup in 1994 for that Brazil team. He didn't play, but he was there. He won the World Cup again in 2002. He came in second place in France 98 when he had the diarrhea butt and had to wear a diaper playing soccer. If he was healthy, I do think they beat France at home in France. He's got 2 Copa Americas, 2 Pichichis, 2 Ballon d'Ors. And he was just a fucking man, dude. Like, he just ran through people. I have a slide somewhere here where it's just like, he was just my guy. Like, growing up, he was my guy. And I think, he's my answer, just because he won the big games. He's won the big games, and I can't say the same about Ronaldo, CR7 Ronaldo, or Messi. So, God damn it, where are my shoes? They're my favorite goddamn shoes of all time, and they're gone. So yeah, the Mercurials. It was the Mercurial Vapors. They're my favorite soccer shoes of all time. These motherfuckers right here. Those are the OG Ronaldo ones. Yeah, so that's my answer. I don't know if you guys have anything else. Johnny, it was your question. What is your answer?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have went that route as well too, with like Ronaldo and Messi. But I got to go with Zidane, man. I mean, he's won a World Cup as a coach as well too. He's won a lot of, a pretty a selection of titles too. But as a player, as a whole, the amount of talent that guy had, he was just a wizard, man. I mean, he was just a wizard with the ball. He probably could have. To me, I feel, and I'm very strong at this. I keep on watching this 2006 World Cup over and over again. I feel that if Zidane didn't headbutt that motherfucker in Italy, that they probably could have won that World Cup as well too if he was still on that. If he played the whole
Yeah,
game.
he fucked up.
He fucked up. I mean, that was his fault. I don't. Wait, hold on. So I don't think the results, even if and getting back to that 98 one, getting back to Ronaldo and the whole diarrhea, thing that happened, I still don't think they beat France, man. I mean, France
The
was
diaper game.
very dominant. Yeah, but I think they were definitely going to win that game for sure. But like I said, man, Zidane, man, he's had such a great career. And granted, he had that overshadow about that the last time he was in the World Cup. I mean, that was his final game where he headbutted somebody. But to me, that's the best player I've ever seen. And no knock to Ronaldo as well, too. The original Ronaldo. That guy was awesome, too. I got to give another honorable mention as well, too. Ronaldinho, man, it was a fucking wizard as well, too. I think that guy I feel like that's more of like a street player type of deal, like what he did. But yeah, I just and no disrespect to Ronaldo or Messi as well too. Both of them.
Well, the easy answer is Messi. Damien's in the comments probably throwing his phone at the TV or whatever. Like he's pissed off, and rightfully so. That's the easy answer. That's why I was trying to go somewhere different. His argument of, so is Bill Russell better than MJ? That's not the case, because Bill Russell was playing against janitors and plumbers and like car mechanics at the time. And I think that's the same argument that could be made against Pele and Maradona. I think the NBA in the 60s is very different than the NBA in the 80s and 90s. And the same goes with soccer. The soccer since 94 on, it was much more global. There's many more games. There's many more competitive leagues. So I think it's very, very different. So that's why I don't think I didn't want to go Pele or Maradona for that reason. Johnny, like, we never saw him play, so it doesn't count. And then Messi and Ronaldo, I want a trophy from them. Either one of them. I want to see a trophy from them before I could call them the best of all time. It's like the Marino argument and stuff like that. Okay. I mean, Messi in a vacuum, yes, Messi is the best player I have ever seen. Messi, but that's why I went with Ronaldo. At least he's got the trophies.
Okay, for me, I almost said, and I'm 8 years younger than both of you. So, I wanted to put Zidane. I think that he is a fucking phenom, followed very closely by Thierry Henry. But, my age, I didn't see him. That was, 2006. I was fucking 10. For me, the greatest player of all time, and it's going to Manuel Neuer. And I know no one ever wants to put the goalie first. We always get shit. But Neuer has seen everything. And, goalies don't win games, but goalies hold down games. And he's got all of the trophies. He is and he's riskier than fucking Ronaldo. Messi will hop into a dirty tackle. No problem. I don't see Ronaldo do that. Neuer will go head first at quarter field outside of his box to go get shit done. And you just I don't think you'll ever see a goalie like him again. Goalies just don't have the same fucking balls. And I think Neuer is
yeah, dude.
Gigi Buffon.
I would say Buffon.
I don't want to
Gigi Buffon.
Get out of here with your goalie argument. I hate
Gigi Buffon is the same shit as Neuer. And it's Guillermo Ochoa in the World Cup. Guillermo Ochoa in the World Cup is fucking Iker Casillas and Gigi Buffon mixed. And then he goes back to America and misses a bunch of easy shit, which I love because I'm a Leon fan. But
as a forward, from the day I started playing soccer till the day my knee blew up, in my 30s, forward for life, I can't vote for goalie for anything. Fuck those guys.
You shouldn't. But anytime Messi had issues with him, Ronaldo had issues with him, and Neuer is world class.
I will say, Manny Neuer he's won everything, club and country and stuff like that. But if I'm picking a goalie, I still think Oliver Kahn was a better goalie.
I don't think so. I think
he was a wall.
Neuer's
he was a wall, man.
Nasty. And no one will ever do that again. No one has the balls to do it.
All right.
I've never seen anyone go and make plays from fucking midfield.
Real
it's just not a thing. It's only a Neuer
Real
thing.
quick, Peter. Real quick. If Messi wins the World Cup here, how do you put him on the
Immediately,
pedestal?
immediately the best of all
Top,
time.
100%.
Immediately,
Neuer isn't shit. None of them are
immediately.
shit. Messi,
Like,
if
if-
Messi wins a World Cup, Messi, and not to answer for Peter, if Messi wins a World Cup, Messi's the greatest player of all time. Like, he's Michael Jordan winning 6 fucking.
Because you only need one. I'm only asking for one from either of them. You know, like once you
Like-
get one, that like solidifies everything. And I still think, like I said, in a vacuum, they're the best of all time.
Yeah.
But I want to see that trophy
Yeah.
before we get out of here.
The
I'm just
Copa
gonna,
America win. That was a big deal.
Nah, don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, it was a big deal. Beating Brazil, showing them what was getting one trophy with Argentina, big deal.
No more goalie talk from you, Billy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to mute you. United States men's national team versus England. Jack's Place, 7,000 West Southwest Highway. We're going to be there. I'll be there at noon when the doors open. Kickoff is at 1. Like I said, I'm going to be a nervous wreck. I've been waiting 8 years for this goddamn World Cup. Food, drinks. Jason will be bartending. There's going to be raffles. We're going to be raffling off a taquiza for the World Cup final. We're going to be raffling off some World Cup beer mug trophies. It's going to be awesome. We can't wait. We can't wait to see everybody there. We've got some great reception on, both Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, the invite and stuff like that. We got friends, family. Everyone's coming. It should be a fun time. Can't wait to see everyone there. I don't know if we're going to do another Chicago Sports Bum soccer show during the World Cup. Maybe we'll do one if something big happens. United States men's national team wise. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap up the World Cup and do one after the World Cup. But we don't know. We're not sure when this thing happens and what happens. But before we let you go, we're doing the watch party. You're also doing one on Saturday, right? For Mexico, Argentina.
Yeah. It'll be at Caminos, which is it's in Pilsen. Come through. We're doing
go to Billy's.
Go find him. He'll be
go
like
find Billy's socials. I am Chris King on Twitter. You'll figure it out. But for now, we'll let you guys go. One last thing. Do you guys want to fuck the Brits? Fuck the Queen? Fuck that pussy boy King? What's going on? How are we ending this show? Buy the shirts? You can
buy the fucking shirt. If you buy the shirt, I will take a shot of wear it to the game. We'll do Malort at England. We'll watch them lose probably 4-1.
We're trying to sell shirts. I said this last time, Billy. Don't offer people Malort. We're trying to sell shirts.
No.
All right. We love you guys. Thank you for everybody in the comments. Damien, Brian S., my wife Julie, Senor Socks, everyone who was coming and going at the same time. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to keep doing these. And we can't wait. Go USA. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Too sweet.
Too sweet.
Hey.